Okay, so thank you so much for taking the time to join us on this installment in our webinar series. The title of tonight's webinar is Understanding the Gaelic Games Go Games Policy. Um, this this webinar is presented by myself, Vinny Whelan. I am the head of growth and participation in the Ladies Gaelic Football Association, and I am delighted to be joined by Lynn Savage, who is the National Development Manager. Lynn will be assisting throughout, and she will also be manning the chat. So do you want to say hello there, Lynn?
Yeah, hi everyone. Looking forward to this evening, and I know we have big numbers on this tonight, so great to have everyone on and looking forward to it.
Super. So look, we'll get going straight away. So very interactive to start off. So what I would like you to do in the chat function, if you can find it down the bottom, there should be a ribbon across the bottom. What I would like you to do is to type what words you would use to describe Go games. So everybody, I suppose, on the call tonight would have a knowledge or an interest or a certain level of expectation of Go games. So what words would you use to describe Go games? So Go games are in existence uh, for an extended period of time at this point. So what words would you use to describe what you've seen or what you've encountered, what you've even read about it in the new policy? So we'll give you 30 seconds on that, and then we'll come back. So as I said, Lynn is um,
There's plenty more. There's plenty coming in already there, Vinny. I
super.
like the first one that's straight in. It's hectic with a load of exclamation marks. Fun, equal game time for children. Fun and inclusive. Fun, inclusion, non-competitive. Introduction to Gaelic games. Everyone plays. Skill focused. Exercise. Encouraging skills. We have fun in nearly every comment, which is good to see. Participation, inclusive, everyone having a go. Non-competitive for kids know the scores to do surely, but it's not adults telling them and adults making them do things and making decisions because of scores, which we'll talk about. Friends, active, fun, everyone gets a go, inclusive. So a lot of those words coming up a lot. Confidence boosting, which is great to see. Enjoyment, early stage players, laughter, everyone gets a run. A lot. I'm just trying to see is there different ones. Participation, chance to succeed at skills at their own level, socialization, chaos. Yeah, mixing with loads of other teams. Um, Less pressure on players, team spirit, confidence building. So loads, but there's loads of that fun and inclusion comes up a lot, Vinny.
Absolutely. And I suppose there's nothing there that I think anybody would disagree with. Anybody who has encountered Go games or been involved in the organization of Go games or even just stood there as a spectator, I don't think there's anything that anybody would disagree with. So from the perspective, I suppose, of anybody who is working directly with Go Games on be that on the ground or the administration level, and I suppose looking at the Go Games working group and a lot of words that we would use to describe Go Games and how it feels for people and what it entails are contained in this slide. So fun and enjoyment, I suppose that cropped up a lot in our responses there. Playing time for all, and I suppose that what that equates to is maximum playing time for all. So as much playing time for as many people as possible. It is the inclusive program. So look, I'm not going to go through all of these one by one as we will. I just want to give us a little bit of a flavor and kind of frame what Go Games feel like for everybody, and what the policy entails for nearly our youngest, but are certainly our largest cohort of players throughout Gaelic games. So hopefully that has framed what Go Games is. We're going to delve a little bit deeper now into what the actual policy entails. So Go Games launch. Just going to watch this video. Hope everybody can hear it.
So what are Gaelic games for children? Go games are Gaelic games where every child gets to play. It's where children lead the way. And with pitches and equipment modified to meet their needs, children will develop at their own pace and enjoy themselves along the way. So get your boys and girls involved now. With Go Games, every child gets a go.
Now, obviously, as we heard there, I hope everybody was able to hear the great Mícheál Ó Muircheartaigh narrating how Go games feel, what they actually entail. Everybody gets a go, and that's where the name is derived from. Everybody gets a go during Go games. I certainly know, and anybody of my age will remember, playing games as a youngster, and certainly in Dublin where I grew up, games only really started at under 10. And the experience was that it was 15 aside. You probably played with a size 4 or size 5 football, and there were substitutes, and it was all about winning, and it was really cutthroat kind of stuff. But it was a small cohort of people playing. There was a reason for that, and there was a reason for the fall off. So realistically, what we need to look at is giving Go games that all inclusive feel, that fun feel, what it should be, and everybody does get a go to play during it. So I hope that video has kind of captured what exactly the program entails. So the purpose of the Go Games relaunch. So Go Games has been in existence in Gaelic games now for many, many years. But it was felt that it needed just a reinforcement, I suppose, throughout Gaelic games. And I suppose we'll speak about the 4 Rs of this slide. So the 4 Rs of the purpose of the relaunch. So number one was to refocus on child-centered inclusive activities for our largest playing cohort. So child-centered. This is not for anybody else. This is not for the inter-county player. It's not for the senior club player. This is child-centered. It's to make sure that our largest cohort felt that the game met their needs. To reiterate our commitment to developing a fun and learning environment for under 7 to under 12 members. So again, we're trying to develop that fun and learning environment where children can learn by executing the skills of ladies Gaelic football and Gaelic games in a broader sense, and that they're learning in that environment, that it's not an environment where they're afraid to make mistakes, where things don't feel fun. We want to encourage our kids to express themselves and to learn through doing. So it's that fun and learning environment that we really want to create by reiterating that commitment to it. Reimagining. So playing rules to innovate and enhance the playing experience and development of all. So you will see later on in this presentation that we have reinvented some of the rules, we have reimagined them, and we've tried to innovate to create an environment where kids are getting more time on the ball, they're getting to express themselves, and their development as players is the center of everything that we're doing. And realignment with F2 stage of the Gaelic Games player pathway. So the Gaelic Games player pathway has been relaunched in the last couple of years, and Go Games really forms the F2 stage of that. So a playing program that was already in situ before the Gaelic Games player pathway is now aligned with that player pathway and is an integral central part of it. So what are Gaelic Games Go Games? Gaelic Games Go Games refer to a games development pathway that is aligned to the Gaelic Games Player Pathway Foundation F2 stage. Emphasis during this phase is on further developing functional movement skills and the early acquisition of the specific skills of Gaelic games. So if we want to know more about that, consult the Gaelic Games Player Pathway, and all the information is available on that on both ladiesgaelic.ie and on Tour. So defining Go Games. Go Games are modified small-sided versions of hurling, camogie, Gaelic football and ladies Gaelic football, which have been devised to cater for the development needs of children aged 7 up to and including 12 years of age. Go Games can be played in a club, school and or community setting to introduce children to Gaelic games. They allow children to have fun, grow and learn physically, socially and psychologically and develop key attributes for life. So their Go Games are inclusive, structured to cater for the needs of all of our children who play our games. Again, if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat there. Lynn is monitoring the chat. So that is the definition, okay? So I'm not going to delve too deep into those. Again, if you want to know more about Go Games, just consult ladiesgaelic.ie and you'll find all of the Go Games resources there and the actual policy yourself that you can go into and read from top to bottom.
I think what's important, Vinny, as well to outline is that this was all research driven as well. So it's not just people sat in a room and pulled the rules together. There was a lot of research on this as well. So that's really important that it's embedded in that research with the kids themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely. And again, we'll reference that a little bit later on when we get to the research part that is contained in the workshop. So what's new? So again, as a Go Games review group, we sat down over the last number of years, and the process actually commenced in March 2020 and brought us up to the relaunch, the recent relaunch. So what is new? Common policy across all associations. The LGFA, GA, and the Camogie Association have identical policies across the three associations. So it's shared, and there's no deviations whatsoever. And all associations in Gaelic games are promoting the same and implementing the same policy. Innovative additions to playing rules and numbers, so smaller numbers, and different rules that again are complementary to player development, and we'll speak about those a little bit later on also. Introduction of a blitz format as standard, okay? So everything must be in a blitz format from under 7 to under 11. Under 12, you are allowed to have leagues, but we'll speak about that in the next number of slides also. But everything must be in a blitz format. We'll speak about the definition of a blitz a little bit later on also. We have self-paced educational opportunities. So they are up on the Tubber system. I'll address that also later on and delve a little bit deeper into that. And the self-paced referee module, which has also been hugely popular since its inception. And the activity approval system, which everybody must utilize when they want to host a blitz that is outside of the county games program. So again, I'll delve into these in great detail as the presentation goes on. So as I spoke about, the cross-associational approach. So Gaelic Games is a national policy of the GAA, the Camogie Association, and the Ladies Gaelic Football Association, and their constituent units at provincial, county, club, and education level, responsible for the organisation and delivery of Go Games. So as you can see there, as I spoke about in the last slide, it's across all Gaelic games. Each unit must be aware of and comply with the provisions of this policy. All units and members participating in Go Games are bound by the official rules of their association. So, the policy purpose. So what is the purpose of the policy? The purpose of this policy is to deliver a structured, standardized, and unified approach to the development of our young players across all three associations. So again, standardized, it's structured, it's unified, and we're focusing solely on our young players, okay? This is about their development. It's not about an adult wanting their team to win so they can go off on their friends in the afternoon and brag about my team winning and my team does it. This is player-centered. It's the development of our young players. We have to put them at the heart of everything that we are doing. We want Go Games to provide children with an appropriate introduction to competition on a phased basis. An appropriate introduction and phased. They are the key words that we're looking at there. The game itself provides sufficient skill development challenges for children. Above all, this policy is in line with the Gaelic Games player pathway and its 6 key underlying principles. And if anybody is familiar with the player pathway, you will know these 6. Club is core, it's player-centered, quality coaching experiences, connection, inclusive, as many as possible for as long as possible. If you do want to know more about the Gaelic Games player pathway, you can consult it on ladiesgaelic.ie or on the Tubber system, and you can go into great detail around the F2 stage there, and I suppose the F1 and F3 that complement that journey also. So, principles and organisation of Go Games. So, there's going to be a lot of words in this slide, but we felt it very important to leave the text in, but I'm not going to dwell on each point for too long, but we will quickly run through just so everybody has an idea of what the policy entails. And as I said, if you want to know more information about it, you can consult the actual policy itself. So, all participants play in the game, i.e. everyone has a go. It is by its name, it is what it is by its nature, okay? Everybody has a go. Games are small-sided, so they're not 15 on 15, and that's what all the research told us, okay? So again, I'll delve into that a little bit more later on, but all of the games are small-sided. There's no 15 on 15. It does not resemble an adult club or inter-county match, okay? So the games are all small-sided. This promotes more touches of the ball, more enjoyment, more self-efficacy and self-esteem. We'll speak about that a little bit later on. So the rules are also modified. So they're modified to meet the needs of the participants. The players are not developed enough either psychosocially or physically, to understand the context of a full 15-a-side game with all of the rules that go with a competitive either adult club or inter-county game. The rules are there to be modified to meet their needs, skill development, player development, to be able to develop them as people. Participant needs are catered for under 7 to under 12. The under 6 age grade or below is not permitted. Okay, and this is a really important point, I suppose. In all of the points on this is a really, really important point, that the under 6 age grade is not permitted. Kids are still in the F1 stage. That is the nursery group. Okay, so Go games specifically start at under 7s. Okay, under 6s, leave them in the nursery because that's a different developmental stage. That's the F1 stage. That's where they should remain. Okay, so under 6s is not, it's not even a thing. It's the nursery, it's the F1. Teams should endeavour to play the minimum numbers recommended. So you have under 7 is 4v4, under 8 is 5, and under 9 is 5v5, under 10 and 11 are 6v6. Participants may play up 2 age grades. So an under 7 may play at their own age grade plus under 8 or under 9 level. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend that any child, we talk about overburdening people, plays under 7s, 8s, and 9s. So it's under 7s, under 8s, or under 9s. Otherwise, I don't know where a child would get the energy, number one. I don't know where the parents would get the time over the weekend either. So I would be recommending under 7s, under 8s, or under 9s. In clubs and primary schools up to under 11, no league or championship competitions shall be organised. So it's play for the sake of play. And that's what children should be doing. It's play for the sake of play. Go out with their friends on a Saturday or Sunday morning, or whenever the matches or blitzes or games are organised, and it's just let them play with no repercussions of losing or any pressure that comes with that. That everything is just on a fun blitz basis. So no leagues or championships it shall be organised in this. And no provision is made to publish scores. No scores should be kept or utilised in any way. No provision is made to prevent trophies or cups, etc. In the under 7 to under 11 age grades. Cups, our club and primary school blitzes shall be organised subject to association rule. So the general guidelines: children 7 years of age and younger are still in the process of developing fundamental skills required to support early acquisition of specific skills of Gaelic games. It is therefore recommended that children aged 7 and younger are introduced slowly to Go games, with their continued participation in the club nursery being the F1 stage, which I heavily referenced in the last slide, which is preferred. Go games explicitly commences at the under 7 age grade, where participants permitted to play 2 age cohorts up, and children whose 6th birthday is on or after January 1st can play at the under 7 age grade in that calendar year only. Okay, so they are the general guidelines. But one question that we get a lot is around the under 12 age grade. I suppose in the age of misinformation or disinformation, a lot when the policy was relaunched, there was a lot of discussion around the under 12 age grade, and there was a lot of misinformation / disinformation that was circulated, and nobody actually consulted the people who had either constructed it or the people who were implementing the new policy. So we're hopefully going to put people's mind at ease over the next number of slides around the under 12 age grade, and that's why we specifically dedicated these slides to that. Okay, so again, if you do have any specific questions, pop them in the chat there, and Lynn will get them either across to me or she will answer them herself. So to be clear, only children whose 10th, 11th, or 12th birthday is on or after January 1st can play at the under 12 age grade in that calendar year. Okay, so 9-year-olds are not permitted to play under 12. Somebody must be 10, or as well, they must be 10, 11, or 12 is the simplest way of putting it. Okay, so the under 12 age grade is organised on a league basis. No knockout rounds are permitted as part of the under 12 league program. Okay, so in the under 12 age grade, you can have leagues. Okay, So again, the misinformation, disinformation part that went out was that you couldn't at under 12. You can. And again, we spoke about this earlier on in the phased introduction to competition. There's plenty of time for competition from under 13 up to somebody being the age of 35, 36 and taking their boots off and their gloves off for the last time. Okay, there's plenty of time for that. So this is a phased introduction by way of a league. Okay, so you can have competition at the under 12 age grade, just it has to be in a league format with no knockout rounds permitted, i.e., there's no round two, quarterfinal, semi-final. You can have a league final though with the top two. Okay, so that's a lot of there was a lot of misconception from people about that, and that should really put that to bed. Goal games should not be used as grading for any older age grades. There's plenty of time. From under 13 up, there's plenty of time to give people grading leagues or whatever way your county board wants to construct that. 1v1 games are permitted at this grade only. Okay, so at under 12, you are permitted to have 1v1 games. So what I referenced earlier on was that the blitz format was standard under 7 to under 11. At under 12, if you apply for a 1v1 game, you will be granted permission for that, provided it is conducted in the non-competitive sense. So we've spoken a lot about different forms of what you can and cannot organise. We're hopefully going to give you some event definitions here. Okay, so a blitz or a festival must include a minimum of 3 clubs or multiple teams from 2 clubs. Okay, so minimum of 3 clubs, multiple teams from 2 clubs. A blitz is defined as an event containing no less than 4 teams, which could be 2 from one club and 2 from another club, or 3 and 1. With which, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. An event containing no less than 4 teams, with each team playing multiple games with a minimum of 3 games per team. 3 games per team at an event. Okay, so every team will essentially play multiple games, but the minimum amount of games is 3 games per team at an event. Okay, so there are no knockout rounds, for example, semi-finals or finals of any type in Go games. There are no cups or trophies to be presented to any teams playing Go games under 7 to under 11, including tournaments and commemorative events, where prizes or medals, etc., or certificates are being given out. Every participating child should receive the same. Okay, so if one child is getting a participatory medal, another gets a participate. Everybody gets the same. Okay, if there's a certificate getting handed out, every single child who takes part should get a certificate. Okay, and again, if you have any questions about any of these event definitions, just pop them in the chat there. So, a sample club blitz. So again, we wanted to show you exactly what this could look like. Okay, so if we're looking at this sample club blitz, what I'm looking at here is 4 clubs who have 1 team each. Okay, they will all play each other in a sample club blitz. So you have at least 4 teams. There we go. They will all play each other. And if you look at the fixtures, the mock fixtures that we have on the right hand side of the screen there, if we track Club 1, for instance, Club 1's first game is against Club 2. Then they play Club 3. Then they'll play Club 4. Okay, so they've played everybody. Everybody's enjoyed themselves. That is the kind of a hub format that we want to kind of create, where if you have 4 clubs with 1 team each, they will all come together and play in a blitz. Everybody, there's variety in it. There's fun in it. They're moving on to their next match. So even if things maybe didn't go well for somebody, they're moving on to the next game. They're into playing a whole new cohort of players. And it takes out that 1v1 element. My club is playing against your club, we're on this sideline, you're on that sideline. You're not there long enough for that to happen. It's a move on. We're moving around the stage. We're moving around pitches. We're on to the next pitch to play the next team. So it's about developing the players and the participants that we have. And it's about them having an enjoyable and varied experience every time they take to the pitch. So again, this one is slightly different. In this scenario, we have 1 club who has 2 teams. So you've got Club One, who has Team One and Team Two, which is the on the top and the right hand side of the circle there. And then we have two other clubs who have one team. So Club Two has one team, you have Club Three have one team. So again, if we just track the fixtures for Club One, Team One, okay, so we look and they're playing Club One, Team Two, but they're playing somebody from their own club, and this might seem very, very foreign to somebody or very strange to somebody, or a concept that doesn't really fit. Again, they're there to play. How fun would it be playing against your own club mates in a blitz? And that's the last time you play them again today. But everybody plays everybody in this. It's we have to divorce ourselves from, well, our club is, in the old style, what would have happened here is you would have combined team one and two, and they would have played against the combined team three and four. But that's not the way everything is structured now. So team one, or club one, team one will play against club one, team two. And that's the joy of it, and that's the fun of it for the kids. It's about them having an enjoyable experience. And what an enjoyable experience to play against your own club mates in a fun blitz. And if you go on down, they play against Club Two, Team One, and then they'll play against Club Three, Team One. So that's another variant of a blitz that we're going to come across in all of our journeys through Go Games. That you're going to come across clubs who are bigger, you're going to come across clubs who are smaller, and but that doesn't matter. You can play in that blitz format, in that hub kind of format, where everybody plays everybody, and it doesn't matter if you've got two teams or three teams, that they'll all play against each other. So one thing that we receive a lot of queries or a lot of questions about are memorial events. Okay, and there is a sensitivity involved in memorial events, and it would be unkind, I suppose, if anybody would say you can't have a memorial event. But it's the way that the memorial event might be structured, or that it might be presented, I suppose, and what jumping ahead there, sorry, and what way it can be modified to make sure everybody feels a part of it, and to do justice maybe to that person. So, can blitzes be organised as memorial events, for example? Of course they can, okay, but not with a cup or trophy being presented. So no finals, okay. So there will be no finals in any memorial events. This can be the Mary MacDonald Memorial Festival of Football, which sounds far more kind and welcoming, for example, rather than the Mary MacDonald Tournament. And I want you to really think about this for a second if you're watching this, okay? So, will more people remember Mary if one child takes home a cup, or if every child at the festival has a medal or a certificate, for example, with Mary's name? That's far more powerful for me, that you have, 60, 70 kids going home with a medal, maybe with an image of Mary or Mary's name on it, going home with that to remember Mary, then one team run around the corner of the pitch with a cup that will probably be parked in a clubhouse for a year, where maybe 60 or 70 kids, a large portion of those might, hang that medal somewhere that might be a little bit special to them, that they took part in a memorial tournament to remember somebody of maybe their same age, or maybe somebody who gave so much to ladies Gaelic football or the club in general. I think that's a far more sensible and powerful way to host a memorial event. So I'm going to quickly run through this, but again, all of these rules, this image that you're looking at here forms part of the policy. So these are the actual playing rules. But just very quickly, just to give you a flavour of what modifications we've made to what was the existing Go Games structures. So minimum numbers. So you're now permitted minimum 4v4 and 7v7. I suppose in analyzing this, and there was a lot of people think that maybe people sat down in a room and constructed a Go Games policy and looked at the Go Games rules and thought, oh, that looks good. There was an amount, as Lynn referenced, an amount of research done on this. If anybody saw the amount of files that I have, and the amount of data that was collected and surveys that were done, somebody could almost do a PhD in it. It is phenomenal. And, there was a large working group at the start who got through a lot of information and who worked hard to do a lot of research around other sports as well. Lacrosse was looked at, Auskick was looked at, um, AFL was looked at. There were so soccer was looked at, rugby was looked. Everything was looked at insofar as is there anything they are doing with their young kids and their youngest kids to develop their players that we could maybe get an idea from. So people just didn't sit in a room and go, okay, well, this looks good. And then we did see a lot of online commentary, about smaller numbers. And, the ideal is, I think I saw 2v2, some professional setups doing 2v2. We work with volunteers in a voluntary setup. We couldn't ever do 2v2. We don't have that amount of referees, don't have that amount of training poles. We don't have that amount of pitch space, that person power to be able to do that. So 4v4 was really the minimum that we could look at. So 4v4 at under 7, maximum 7v7. Those numbers should not be breached, because people need to work within the parameters of the policy and make sure that it is in line with everything that we have recommended. So again, we looked at goals. So you don't, what is the burden on clubs? Do they have to buy a set of goals for an amount of pitches that you could possibly have 4v4 on? No. Training poles 3 meters apart. Okay. And that'll do. It's an informal game. It's an informal structure of ladies Gaelic football. Just let the girls go out and let them play. Training poles, you don't need proper goals for it. Pitch size is obviously, as you can see there on the left, we have the graphic 45 by 30 meters. But the playing rules, and look, I won't dwell on each different playing cohort, but if we look at just maybe one of the innovative rules that we have here is 1v1 tackling allowed. You're allowed to carry the ball with the bounce for 8 steps or 8 seconds. Under 7, they're only coming out the nursery. They are not going to have, well, some players will have developed the 4 steps bounce, 4 steps solo. The majority won't. So let's give them that space to be able to develop like that. So 8 steps or 8 seconds. Let them do that once there's a bounce in between. Solo comes in later years. Okay. Development is a process. We need to allow them that space to grow. And again, the 1v1 tackling. I think we've all seen an under 7 or an under 8 game, or even an adult game, where there's 5 or 6 people wrestling for a ball, and next of all they're on the ground, and there's 10 of them on the ground. And the 1v1 tackling, it's clean. It allows the tackle to be executed effectively and efficiently, and it doesn't promote that kind of ruck on the ground. It allows somebody to maybe run away from the person who's tackling them, use those 8 steps to get away without the fear of 3 or 4 people jumping on top of them. And then look at the timings as well and the restarts. Okay, so when a score goes in, there's a sideline free from the halfway line to the team that concedes the score. Okay, so the traditional was the throw in from the halfway line. And what research was telling us was that the player who scored was usually the player who caught the ball from the center of the pitch and just scored again, and just scored again, and just scored again. So again, this gives the advantage to the team who just conceded. So sideline free from halfway to the team that concedes the score. Okay, so look, as I said, I've spent a bit of time there with the under 7, but again, all of these rules are up on our graphics on ladiesgaelic.ie, and if you look for the Go Game specific page, you'll find all of these rules and regulations. So look, there's an evolution of skills as you go through the age grades. Okay, so if you look at there, the minimum, maximum under 8, that's 5v5, 8v8. So the numbers are ticking up, the size of the pitches are ticking. Okay, if you look at the 1 hop 1 solo allowed. Okay, so the 8 seconds is gone. Okay, so we are gradually moving towards a more fuller form of ladies Gaelic football. You look at now we're 5v5, 9v9. Okay, pitches still stay the same size. Under 10, again, we're looking, the numbers are ticking up again. Pitches are bigger again. The duration of the game, the restarts are back to puck out or kick out from the hand in terms of camogie, hurling, ladies Gaelic football. Or boys Gaelic football. So the restarts are coming from the hand. So we're moving again the gradual process towards the fuller game of ladies Gaelic football. It's a long journey. Okay, it's a long journey. Imagine putting 7-year-olds in a 15 on 15 with a size 4. Just, so development of players. Again, 11v11. And then we have under 12, which is much larger numbers. Okay, so the minimum of 8v8, 13v13. It's only two players per side off 15 on 15. And again, most of the rules there that you're looking at are akin to a full game of ladies Gaelic football. So we've moved more towards that fuller game. So an under 12 league, what can it look like? Okay, so we mocked up this Phantom League. It is important to state that there are no scores published. So W is for a win, D is for a draw, L is for a loss. So when you are constructing your under 12 league program, that is competitive. Okay, that's what should be at the forefront of your thoughts. Nobody wants to see a team get humiliated, and we've seen it over the last number of years that you have such and such club bet such and such club, and it's up on Twitter by official, some official accounts, and it's and this is across Gaelic games where you see like 8-25 to 2 points. Well done, girls, great win. You're kind of going to yourself, is there any tact left at all? Okay, and this is not about wrapping players up in cotton wool, but this is because there's no grading as such at under 12. This is the system that has to be implemented. So WDL. Top 2 play in the league final. So as you can see there, I've on the bottom right, I have mocked up a little league table where team 4 won 5 out of 5. Well done, team 4. Team 2 won 4 out of 5. So those top 2 would qualify for a league final. And then team 6 and team 3 were the next best. And then team 5 and team 1 came not at the top and not at the middle. So you can, as an option, have a festival's final day as a participatory tool. Okay, so the tradition was that the top 2 play a league final, but then you have 4 other teams. This is just will be in a 16 league sitting at home while the final is taking place. A participatory day or festival finals day would mean that first will play second, third will play fourth, fifth will play sixth. Everybody plays in a league final, and that means so much to the participants that they're actually, sure, we want to win this. And again, it's the gradual move towards the competition. We can't shield them from competition forever. So this is the dip of the toe in the water, as I like to say. So Festival's final day is an idea, and it's an option that I think should be looked at. And again, as I said, employing that WDL format for whoever comes out on top in each game. So I spoke about this earlier on, your Blitz event application. So the online application form is, again, available on ladiesgaelic.ie. It's a shared application form between ourselves and our 2 partner associations. And the process for this is very, very simple. So the host club submits the application. So whoever wants to host, so the visiting teams do not need to submit an application, just the host club. They will on the application, they will have to name the visiting teams. This is reviewed then by the national development team. An approval or rejection notification is then sent back to the team who have applied, the hosting club, and then notification if it is an approval, that comes in the form of a PDF. That PDF should then be shared with all of the visiting teams by the hosting team to make sure there's clarity. So the clarity comes from the host club applying to national. We know there's an event there. We review it. We then send it to the county board who have clarity that this event is happening. Okay. If it's approved, the hosting club have clarity that they have the approval to host. And then the visiting teams receive that approval via PDF. It's a very, very simple process. And filling in the form, I think, takes an average of about 2.5 minutes. So everybody has clarity. This event was applied for. It was approved. County board knows about it. Hosting club knows about it. Visiting club knows about it. Everybody enjoys their event. Okay. So just make sure that you are utilizing that and that you gain a knowledge of what the form actually looks like. And that brings us on to our next slide. So these are a couple of screenshots or screen grabs from what the actual application looks like. It is a shared application with our 2 partner associations, as I referenced. The key thing here to remember, I just had one of these actually today, was that you make sure you are clicking ladies Gaelic football when you are applying, if that's the code that you wish to apply for. Otherwise, if you click Gaelic football, hurling, or camogie there, the Gaelic football or hurling will automatically go to our colleagues in the GAA. If you click camogie, likewise, it automatically goes to them. We won't even know that you've applied. So you must click ladies Gaelic football. That's the first thing to remember. Once you get that right, everything else can be looked after that. So again, position within the club or club executive or the school, name of the person applying, position, the club or the primary school name, the county, and then something that's really, really important. It must come from an official Gaelic Games account. Okay, so we receive a number of these a week, and it's from, vinnywhelan@gmail.com, and we cannot accept that. It must be from vincent.whelan@lgfa.ie, or from your club account, which would be, just say, I'm just going to use an example, would be whitehallcolumkill.dublin@lgfa.ie. Okay, so it must come from an official club account. Again, folks, keep the questions coming in to the chat there. I'm sure Lynn is kept busy with answering everything that's coming in, and I will get around
I'm
to
going to ask you two I'm going to ask you two live, just because this one at the minute. One is how much notice that a few people have asked to get their blitz approved.
Yeah, so
fire that one at you first.
The notice is 24 hours. Sorry, that was 48 hours. Notice is 48 hours, 2 days before the actual event is due to take place.
Okay. A second one is, how do two under 12 teams applying for a 1v1 friendly apply for permission?
The very same way. It's the very same way. The last question on the form is, please state the structure of your event. And that's, so the host club applies, and you click the under 12 age grade, and it's done the exact same fashion. The last question just asks for the structure, and the literal response to that is it's a 1v1 under 12 game.
And there's one other one just on this one, just while you're on this form.
Yeah.
If a club was doing, say, an under 9 blitz and an under 10 blitz the same day, can they put the two of them on the one form, or do they need to put two separate forms in for the two different age groups?
It will be two separate forms, because we need to differentiate between and decipher how many teams are coming to each event. And we have had instances with this where we've had to seek clarification, because we've had 4 teams listed with 2 age grades listed, and then when we actually asked the question, it turned out to be I think it was an under 8 1v1 and an under 9 1v1, which is not permitted. So in fairness to the club that we're applying, they went back, they invited more clubs to their event, and they were able to apply separately for the 2 different events with the requisite number of teams visiting their event. And look, all that took was a bit of correspondence back and forth from ourselves, just to establish who was coming and who wasn't coming, and to highlight the requirements of being complicit with the policy, and they were delighted with it.
Yeah, perfect. And I know these two you've kind of answered already. Do you still need permission from the county board? You don't, because as you said, the county board are part of this process, so they will get notified anyway, to make sure that they're in it. And does it mean all blitz applications have to come from your club secretary? Yes, because it's the official email address. So your club must know these things are happening. So that's why it's the official email addresses. So they were just a few on those. Like I'm saving a few from you for the end.
Lynn likes to keep me busy. I think Lynn, though,
anyone can't get an official email address, by the way, because I see a few questions coming in that it's your club, it's the people who have the official email address. So your club secretary has access to that.
And I think that's a hugely important point, Lynn, that you made there, is that the club must have knowledge that this event is taking place. Club have to have ownership of their own events. If an event was planned and a mentor went off and organised something by themselves, an All-Ireland tournament, for under 8s, and there was 15 aside, and there was winners, and and then if we brought somebody to a disciplinary over that, and the club said, well, we didn't know about it, so the club needs to take ownership of their own events. And that this ensures that the club has clarity and ownership over what exactly is happening within the club setting. So there's nobody going on solo runs. So again, and it's the word that I used in the previous slide, it's clarity, just transparency around what's exactly happening in clubs.
Yeah, and there's just one there. If they get permission, are the players covered through LGFA insurance? So one, we don't have an insurance. It's an injury fund, and obviously all players must be registered properly, which they should be for playing in the Go Games. And if they are registered as players, they have access to the injury fund as with all players. So that's just on that piece.
Perfect. Thank you. So again, you will read within the policy that the breaches of Go Games policy for all three associations are referenced in the policy. So for ourselves, the LGFA official guide currently Rule 284, and a breach of this rule will be referred to CODA for sanction. So just to be aware that that is contained within the policy, and obviously our partners in Gaelic Games have also listed their own sanctions. So I spoke about this a little bit earlier on, and it's a hugely important resource. And so as it complements this webinar also is the online educational workshop, which is available on the Gaelic Games Learning portal Tubber. So if anybody does want further information to really get a different feel for what Go Games are, the online workshop is there. Or if, and I suppose it's there to save clubs a lot of time and effort also in terms of doing inductions. If somebody's coming out of the nursery program and establishing a team at under 7 or under 8, and they don't really have a knowledge of Gaelic Games, or their last interaction with Gaelic Games was that they played in a senior championship final and it was 15-a-side and they won the ladies championship, and this was what they envisage, under 8s doing, under 9s doing, and all the way up. So being able to just send a mentor who's coming out of nursery this workshop and saying, look, here's what you're going to be engaging with for the next couple of years, this will give you a real feel for what you're going to be doing. So it's the Go Games workshop. It's, as I said, just log into Tubber, and as you can see on the left hand side there, all of the different sections that it has to it. So introduction, what are Go Games, why Go Games, player pathway. So again, I referenced that earlier on, and how Go Games are linked to player pathway, and there's loads more information in there that I'd be able to give you in the time allotted for this particular webinar. But there's loads in there for people to really get their teeth into. The Go Games regulations and guidelines that I've referenced here as well. Organise and Go Games. So a few tips and hints and tricks and what you can do in terms of being able to organize your Go Games blitzes and your Go Games events. So this is here to help people. This is a really, really important, worthwhile resource that's there. So as I said, if I'm involved in a club setting and I'm, maybe looking at, creating a system for my club, an underage system, I'm saying, right, as soon as my mentors come out of the nursery, this is the first port of call. This is what I'm directing them towards. This is what they should be going on looking at. And I suppose within the why Go Games, now Lynn referenced this earlier on, I'm going to go back to it. So the why Go Games. So there was extensive studies carried out when the original incarnation of Go Games was launched. Mickey Whelan and many others up in DCU did huge work around why kids play Go Games. And the research they did was around the amount of touches that players were getting, 15 on 15, and when they halved that, or more than half, it was 7v7, the touches of the ball went up nearly 75%. The feel good factors in terms of the qualitative analysis for the kids went through the roof. There was so many more positives to the smaller sided modified rules, and that's all contained within why Go Games. So if you go on there, all of the data and the stats from that research is in there, and it's a real eye opener as to why we should employ the Go Games model rather than the older traditional models. We should not handcuff ourselves, I suppose, by tradition. We need to look at our games and modify them and change them to meet the needs of our youngest and developing cohort. And again, kind of to complement that, as I referenced then, there was a massive amount of research done by the actual group ourselves since March of 2020, all the way through to 2023 on this. So as Lynn referenced, this wasn't, just people sitting in a room. This was informed modification and an informed pathway towards the relaunch of Go Games. Another
Just
huge
on that, Vinny, another
yeah.
sorry, Vinny, can you hear me there? There's a few
Yeah.
people just asking what is Tubber, because we keep saying all this stuff is on Tubber, but if you can explain what Tubber is, in relation to it being the Gaelic Games e-learning platform, just where people can go to get it.
Yeah, so Tubber is recently launched. It was I suppose it's the evolution of the Gaelic Games e-learning site, or e-learning at gaa.ie, I think was the old web address. But if you type Tubber into the Google search, it'll be the first thing that comes up. But the amount of resources that are on Tubber now in terms of Gaelic Games learning, and you just register through Tubber, you can link it to your Fern account as well. And the amount of coaching resources on there for all codes of Gaelic Games are huge. And you can actually do some self-paced learning modules on there, which the Go Games one is. And again, as I said, there's a huge amount of video resources. There's a huge for all levels of Gaelic Games. That's where you would go for the player pathway, for the recently launched coaching pathway as well. And it directs you to different resources from there as well. Everybody has their own profile on it as well, so you can tailor your e-learning needs to that. So I think I've covered that. Lynn, is there anything else you want to add on Tubber?
No, that's perfect. It was just that a few people were probably going, "Where is Tubber?" So that helps.
Yeah, so if you type in Gaelic Games learning or Tubber into Google, it'll bring you straight to it, and it's something that I'm literally on nearly all day, every day, because it's brilliant. But it's great. It's a great resource. So within Tubber, in our e-learning site, we also have a recently launched Go Games online referee course, which allows participants from 15 years of age upwards to be able to referee Go Games in a safe club environment within the club, where the referee coordinator is on site. And it's a learning experience for them. And as you can see there, the modules, there's 14 modules in total, but they're kind of sub modules of the larger section. So we have the introduction to Go Games. We have the introduction to refereeing, communication, rules, and then a rules quiz at the end to check for understanding. This has been a huge success story since its launch. Since its launch in the first couple of weeks of the launch of the referee module, there were 800 new Go Games referees throughout the country. It is across all Gaelic games: ladies football, camogie, hurling, and boys Gaelic football also. As the rules are all aligned across under 7 to under 12. So hugely beneficial for any club who may be struggling for referees on a weekend, to be able to, for somebody to be able to do it from the comfort of their own home. As I said, you have to be 15 upwards to do it. And there is a parental barrier, shall we say, there, where if somebody under 18 is registering to do it, that they will need parental consent also. So it's done in a safe environment online also. So it's been hugely successful, developed by experts in the field. Again, it's not something that somebody sat down and said, let's put together a few slides on refereeing. This is developed across the three associations by experts from the three associations. And is really going to be an injection or a shot in the arm for people and clubs around the country who want to expand the referee base. Lynn, I don't know if you have anything you want to add on the refereeing module.
No, I just think it's a real opportunity for not every young person in our games is going to be a player, or wants to be a player, and some players want to be other roles as well. So there is an opportunity for young people in particular to get involved with their first taste of refereeing through this, and the fact that it's self-led. But also I know a number of clubs who maybe on a Friday evening know they have a Go Games blitz on Saturday morning, and it's panic stations because they can't get referees. And previous to this, there might be ringing a few parents, going, any chance you could bring a whistle with you tomorrow? And that parent had no background. So now literally they can log in that Friday evening, do this, get a background knowledge in the age group they're doing. So I think this is really going to assist a lot of counties and clubs, but also for clubs to encourage young people to take the officiating route as well, and help out the club that way. So it's very positive.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks, Lynn. So, if we're a county and we are wanting to communicate examples of good practice to some counties who we've looked at, who have employed Go Games programs effectively, we just have two very, very quick examples here, just to highlight two counties who really, really embraced the new Go Games policy and who wanted to look at their unique topography, maybe in the county, look at the amount of clubs they had, the amount of where the clubs are situated, and how they could amend their games program to suit the new policy. And two counties did it really, really well. And we've looked at them. So County A, so they won't be named. County A organised the Go Games on a hub blitz format once a month. They split the county into regions, and the mixed club, the clubs are of mixed sizes. So you might have in one hub, you might have one club who has three, one club maybe has two, another club has two, another club has one. It doesn't matter. They all just meet up and play. There's no fixtures to it. It's just a hub. So they go, everybody plays everybody in a week. Or if there's too many maybe in a hub that, this this portion of the hub will play this portion of the hub in a week, and then in the next week's time that portion of the hub. So everybody's getting a varied experience, and it means that there's not the us against you. It's in a blitz format. It's not asking anybody to travel halfway across their county to play. So they've looked at their county and they've broken it into regions. And the one brilliant thing about this, the way this county did it, was didn't matter about the size of your club, because if you're playing under eights together, you're all going to be playing either 5v5 or 8v8. So it didn't really matter what size of club you had or how many teams your club had. You were put into a hub, and it was down to the clubs then to organise the day themselves. Each club hosted on a rotation basis, and everybody got that experience of hosting that kind of festival of football feel within their club. And it was brilliant to hear and see and feel how that county had done that. And then we look at County B, which was equally as successful. But what they did was they looked at clubs of similar size and they grouped them in that format. This county mirrors the school calendar, so they go week on week on week on week, and then they take a break maybe when the school calendar the school calendar is on a break, or say over midterm there's no matches, over Easter there's no matches, summer takes a break, and Halloween also. So one club teams are grouped together either into a smaller group, so group of 4 or 5 clubs. So if they have 3-team group, a 2-team group, so they're all clubs of similar size, they'll all play against each other. But the one teams were kind of sitting there, and they were either getting a bye week where they'd have no match, or they were all playing each other, which meant that they weren't getting the same playing experience as the bigger clubs. So the bigger clubs were playing 3-on-3 in a blitz format where everybody's playing, a number of games in the morning, and the one club groups were playing just one game each. But this county looked at the new policy and said, okay, so we can't do one-on-ones anymore. What do we do? So they've grouped all the one teams together and put them in a hub together, and they play on a rotation basis. So some clubs host one week and then the next week they're away. And what they also have started to do actually this year, what I've looked at, is they've started to couple one team clubs together. So they'll be coupled up, and they'll be put playing with a club of 2 teams. So you have 2 singles, where it was kind of like the scenario we had earlier on for that sample blitz. And this county really looked and said, you know what, we we have to implement something new, but let's look at the model that we have and see how we can fit that into that. And it was just fantastic to see. And we phone call after phone call with them because they were so interested in amending their games program to maximize the playing experience of their young players. It was nothing to do with, oh, don't tell us to change our county games program. They wanted to embrace this, and I think all counties should look at that and go, how can we embrace the new regulations around the policy. This club or this county absolutely did it for their clubs and for their county. or so for the clubs and for the players in this county, is thriving in the Go Games framework. So, in the chat function, what I would like you to do is, I'm sure you've kept Lynn busy for the last 55 minutes. So, in the chat function, what was the or oh, I see moment for you from this webinar? So, as I said, the policy is an incarnation or an evolution of an existing program that was there. So obviously there's something that maybe triggered something in your mind, said, okay, so this is where it's led on to from the previous Go Games, or maybe you're new to Go Games, you know, that's really triggered a thought in my mind, or, you know, something that you've seen in your own club. So I'm sure they're coming in thick and fast there, Lynn. So if you have any,
Yeah, I'm
or
just going
maybe
to ask you,
you're
there's two questions I hadn't gone back on there, so just I was leaving these ones for you.
great.
Can under six children play with under sevens?
Yeah, they can. They can, yeah. Under six children can play under sevens, yeah.
Below
Nothing
that,
below.
can't.
Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's perfect. And then there's one other question. An under 12 league is organised by a county, for instance, and there's clubs entering two or more teams. They want to know if can they be asked to name a first 15 or a first 12 or whatever and strictly stick with that. So in other words, streaming. What is the Go Games policy in relation to streaming?
Okay, so streaming is there. There's currently an ongoing study around streaming in Gaelic games, and this is, I suppose, going to inform the policy going forward. At the moment, streaming is not permitted in Go Games. Um, so realistically, what a county needs to look at is placing clubs of appropriateness with each other. I had actually had a call with a county there during the week about this. So it might be that a club or a county board runs a number of non-competitive blitzes and just has an idea of what clubs are appropriate, should be appropriately grouped with each other, or it might be done on the size of the club. So if a club has one, two, or three teams entering at under 12 inside that particular number of or the permitted numbers of players within each playing cohort. So they might look at it and say, okay, so such and such club has three teams. We might group them with another club of similar size, and their second team, or their team two from that club would go with team two from a club of a similar size, and likewise team three. So streaming is not currently permitted. It's something that we are engaging with academia on, and it will inform us going forward. But there, as I said, I just outlined quickly a mechanism that can be utilized. You know, we can either do it on a non-competitive blitz observation basis, or it can be done on the size of the clubs involved and how many teams or groupings they are entering at the under 12 age grade. I hope that
Perfect.
addresses it
I know
correctly.
there's questions coming in as well, but I'm going to do a few of the moments for you first, and then I'll switch to some of the questions.
Okay.
Clears up the policy around what is allowed for under 12s was a good. So that was one of the moments. Um, age by age and not traditional age groups for sevens, eights, nines. And what we want to stress on that is we're not saying every club has to run each of those age groups. So whatever you need for your club or whatever is in that county. So for instance, a county might still only do eights, tens, 12s because they don't have the population, for instance, to have each grade. That's fine. The only reason it shows what you can do for each of those age groups is that at least you know if you're doing under 9 or if you're doing under 10, what is it that means? So we're not saying every club has to do all those age groups, but it's just showing you now what is at each of those age groups. The type of format we're looking for our county, so that's good. Finding out that rules change and team sizes change as they go from under 7 up to under 12. Every child touching the ball with the blitz, which is great. The league structure, I think a lot of people, the moment is around the under 12s for a lot of it. The idea of playing rotating blitzes with neighbouring clubs, given plenty of variety, and a good point there can be organised locally, which is really good. My OIC centres around under 12. So obviously the leagues for the under 12, getting that clarity of information down for everyone. Um, the schools thing I know will crop up a bit, and I know the GEA are currently meeting coming a month school because there is still a bit of thing around skiing a school and coming a month school, but that will be looked at as well. It is they play under 13 technically is what they call it, and not under 12 in case some people are wondering why some of them are still competitive. So that's why that is in there currently at the minute. Very informative. Yeah, so a lot of stuff there around the structures, I'd say Vinny is a lot of pieces that came in around that. And I will now go to some questions for you.
I'll just say there, Lynn, with the under 12 piece, and I'm glad that so many people have tuned in to this webinar. Like, I mean, it was like, I mean, I remember standing in my kitchen listening to a radio show, and the person who they had on, who was meant to be defending Go Games, obviously hadn't read the new policy, and was talking about, you know, the old policy, and they couldn't believe that Go Games had gone non-competitive, and this was on a radio station, and I was like sitting in my kitchen absolutely fuming, because I was like, it's not non-competitive, there's competitive leagues allowed. So there was a lot, I said it at the start, there was a lot of misconceptions about it, and I hope that we've cleared that up throughout this webinar.
Yeah, perfect. So there's a few questions. I think some of these might come in after you answered them, so you may have got off the hook for a few of them. If a number of clubs which have good numbers permitted, the club's permitted to bring two teams to a blitz. If so, what is permitted in terms of first and second teams in light of the Go Games ethos? So I think you mentioned that on streaming, they can't be streamed. Do you want
No.
to maybe emphasize that again?
Yeah, so they can't be streamed, and especially if you're going to blitzes under 7 to under 11, you know, just to be mindful of that the kids are there just there to play. They're not there to be streamed or grouped or um, you know, put into a category. It's just a playing environment that they're going to go to enjoy their football, and that's literally it. From under 12, as I said, if I'm organizing a blitz, I'm looking at, you know, personally, I'd be looking at you know, either a club of similar size who I want to invite to my under 12 blitz, or I'm looking at a number of clubs who are going to match the number of players I have. I'm not even thinking of streaming anybody. I just want to get a blitz where the kids are going to come and play. And I suppose, like, what we're probably looking at here, and a lot of people are asking about streaming, like, we're probably talking about the maximum playing numbers at under 12 as well, which is 13v13. I'd be looking at, if I'm hosting a blitz, playing 8v8. And best of luck streaming, you know, if you're in a bigger club, you know, 20 or 30 kids and 8v8 streaming, you know, it's that's going to be a mammoth task. It's just not doable. I'd be just looking and saying, I want to get these girls on the pitch. I want to get them playing football and enjoying their blitz day, and off you go. As I said about the county game blitz, that's down to the county board in terms of being able to match clubs of appropriateness, be that of size or be that through non-competitive blitzes. That's the way that they need to look at that. But it is something
And I
that
think
it,
I think really a good point you had there on the streaming piece as well, as like the adults are streaming to have stronger teams and the next level down. But like then those kids are going into school going, well, I was on the A team and I'm on the B team and so actually they might be on the Lions this week and the Cubs next week and the Tigers next week,
yeah,
but they're getting to play with different players as well, because just because they're stronger at under 8 or under 10, they could potentially be your strongest adult player, but we categorize them at under 8s or 10s as adults. So the fact that they're getting to play with all different girls of those age groups is really powerful for the future of your club, and developing a fuller team across the club as well.
absolutely, yeah.
A few more questions for you. Did I hear right? You can't organise under 6 go against blitzes, but under 6 kids can play in the under 7 or under 8 blitz. So that is right. You can't organise under 6s because they become 4 and 5-year-olds.
Yeah, it's like an under 6 is essentially a 5-year-old's age group, but somebody can be 6 and turn 7 in that calendar year and play under 7s. So under 6s doesn't exist essentially. Under 6s is part of F1 nursery program. But a 6-year-old can, of course, play under sevens.
And just a question there, is it goals only in matches, not goals and points?
That
So
doesn't
the
matter.
scores, the rules will actually show you, yeah, it'll show you what's over the bar and what's under the bar, etc. in the rules,
Yeah, or
for each age club.
if they're using polls, like I always use the kind of joke of, it's an in or it's a behind, kind of the Australian rules version of it. If you're playing under sevens or under eights, it's either in the polls or it's outside the polls. Um, yeah, I wouldn't worry about goals or points at that stage.
Perfect. The next one is more a point around the memorial tournament, really getting at the difference about every child getting a medal rather than one child getting a cup. I mean, we should be aiming, I mean, I've seen this. I had a battle royal with a club, as Vinny rightly knows, when this policy came in, they were insisting on playing for this cup. And we stuck our ground and we asked them to change it. And the feedback we got from that club afterwards was immense. And the family of the person that was in it, because every child got to know about that person, because really there's not too many people read the name of a cup. But they were all getting their medals and everything else. So yeah, it's good to see the comment on that one. Um, if people do the self-directed referee course, do they need vetting safeguarding like was previously required for grab your whistle referees? Do you recommend paying underage referees for blitzes? It's a big incentive for young refs, not always an easy job. And do you say refs have to be 15? Do you want me to take some of them for you?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. I'm knackered.
So the way we're looking at with Go Games referees, if they're adults, yes, the safeguarding has to be done, the vetting has to be done. For like a 15-year-old, and it's the youngest is 15 that can do it, the way they're looked at is they're refereeing blitzes within their home club. So they're part of the game and there's a coach there from the home club. And we are doing a few pilots of a few younger referee programs at the minute to see how that would work. And again, there would be a home coach. So the referee becomes part of the game rather than in charge of the game. Because it's when somebody's in charge of something that they have to be vetted, safeguarded. But if you're taking in, yes, older referees to referee Go Games blitzes, they are going to have their vetting and safeguarding like any referee. And I would stress if you are getting young referees involved, like we do our Go Games day in Crow Park and stuff with young referees the same age as the kids. And there's not about that. Did they get all the rules right? Absolutely not. Right? They don't. But they do enough to keep the game running and there's nobody giving out to them and they learn. Okay. So at times you go to a big blitz and you've maybe 2 or 3 national referees refereeing a Go Games blitz and a load of Go Games referees sitting at home. So it's trying to give them their first experience and a positive one in the club to actually want it. And I know a lot of counties will have in their competition guidelines as such in relation to Go Games will say how much a referee is being paid at Go Games. I know quite a few counties it's €20, but it depends on the county what to put in it. And it's like a little part-time job for some referees, young referees, and they'll come and help you out at the weekends, etc. So that's just on that one. A few more questions for you.
Yeah,
So to be
thought about me.
clear, if two
I'll have
teams
my
at under
break.
12 are they allowed to play streamed teams by agreement with other clubs? So as you said, streaming's not allowed.
No, it's not
Wanna
permitted under any circumstances currently. As I said, everything we do is informed by studies. If that study comes back when it's completed down the line and it says that streaming is appropriate, of course we will absolutely look at it. But for the time being, any research that's there at the moment, which is very, very limited, I must add, but it was anecdotal. It wasn't official research, but it was stuff that the group had carried out itself. Indicated streaming was not healthy in the game environment.
Okay, last few questions and then we'll be letting everyone go. When playing mixed teams, do the girls adhere to the rules, pick the ball up the ground, and the boys adhere to their rules?
The rules are identical
So
across the board. Yeah, so
yeah,
the boys can pick the ball if they want. So the rules are identical. So so that was an amendment, I suppose, from the boys' end of things that they can pick.
there's a question there. Can teens be put into categories based on the year they are born? That's the way our membership works anyway. So
Yeah,
it's the 1st of January, so that will be the the year they're born will be under 8s, under 9s, etc. So it has to be by year. I think if I misunderstood that, feel free to come back. The requirement for a referee coordinator, we do encourage a referee coordinator in a club, which is really to look after those young referees. So if we do get them, that we're seeing how they get on, supporting them, encourage them to go. I know there was a question there, is it sufficient just to do an online course? It's just the basics, okay? It's literally getting them out. All these kids are playing these games at lunchtime with somebody refereeing who hasn't done a referee course. So this is just giving them an introduction to refereeing, and then the ones who really like it, that referee coordinator will encourage them to then move up and do the youth course, hopefully move up and do the adult course, but it is giving them a basis of it. And there is still an in-person Go Games course that can be done. So counties and clubs can still book that through ourselves, and there is loads of them happening. We had record numbers of them last year, but this is just giving another option to be able to get both.
Yeah. And I think, Lynn, just to come in on that one, that it should be noted, and it's probably something that I should have stressed, is that the Go Games module is for non-competitive Go Games only. So that's where the face-to-face one comes in for anybody who wants to ref under 12 leagues and non-competitive under 7 to under 11 or under 12.
Perfect. And we have one last question, and then we can let everyone go. We split by age for under 12, 2012 year and 2013 year. Is this okay? And yes, that's no issue. A lot of clubs do that, because I suppose the age that is getting priority, but they're still getting games. It's not being streamed in terms of how good or perceived not so good a player is. So that's keeping them all kind of together. And actually, that's the same question come in there twice in a row. So that was it. So Vinny, you'll be glad to know that is the end of the questions. You can do your wrap up.
No, I love them. I love the questions. If you do want, or if you do have any more specific questions, please feel free to email me, vincent.whelan@lgfa.ie. And I'd be delighted to engage anybody. It's, as Lynn knows, Go Games is number one, my favorite subject, and number two, it is something that I'm quite passionate about, both in a volunteer sense and a professional sense as well. So look, folks, thank you so much for your engagement throughout. I hope that you found the webinar interesting, and took some takeaway messages from it. So thank you for taking the time to actually engage with us and watch the webinar from either live or on the watch back. Thanks so much to Lynn for coming on at short notice to be able to assist me tonight. And yeah, folks, the policy's up on our website. All of the resources are there on Tubber. So I hope everybody enjoys Go Games as much as I do, both as a coach and as a volunteer within the club. So thank you so much. There are further resources on the website, and if you need to get in touch, please feel free to. So, slán live.